Trapmore gang, one of the biggest mysteries in Chicago drill history has been who created Oblock, who created the O, and obviously if you didn't know, Oblock is the Parkway Gardens housing complex. It's where the likes of Chief Keef, King Von, some of the most famous and feared rappers in Chicago drill hail from Oblock, but the reason it's called Oblock is because it is home to a young man called Odee Perry who was killed many years ago, over 10 years ago. I think it was around 2011, and basically people have been desperately trying to get to the bottom of who created the O, who's the founder of Oblock, who did it, and now we're hearing one of the theories that's been floating around for years is getting a little bit more steam, because some people are saying that Big Mike, all right, aka Wooski brother, all right, Big Mike famously went on a hit with King Von, ended up going down for the murder and doing 18 years while Von got off scot-free. Some people are saying Big Mike is actually dry snitching on his own brother Wooski regarding the night that Odee Perry was killed, and people basically saying that he talking a little too much.
Already, it's just when he started hanging down on 71st, he met Tuka down there, and that's when they started hanging out or whatnot. And I hear got locked up in 2009, and I want to say like 2011, right after like O got killed. That's when I found out that my little brother was really in the field. Like, I wasn't hearing nothing until, like, after O got killed. Everybody like, man, what's up with your brother? I said, what about my brother? They like, man, he been out here a while. What? Y'all talking about a little boy? That's who y'all talking about? Because at that time, he was little. Bro, when he was like 12 years old or something, man.
So basically, people are saying, look, all right, it sounds like he's keeping it real, and he's saying people was only hearing about his name in the streets after Odee got killed. Well, why would he be hearing about his name in the streets after Odee got killed unless he had something to do with it? People saying, I'm not going to lie, this is the first time I heard this, but it makes sense low-key. It would make the whole Von constantly dissing Wooski thing make perfect sense. People saying Wooski probably did shoot at White with 50 shots. That's why Von hated him so much. He was there, so he know Wooski was on that hit. They're saying this might be the reason Oblock hates him so much and can't stop saying his name. They're saying, bro, y'all dumb. Big Mike already spoke on Odee Killer. He said, dude somewhere doing time out of state. That ain't Wooski, but that would be a good way to throw people off. He definitely isn't saying that because Big Mike himself said he was after anybody who had something to do with O. People saying the worst thing you can do is these Chirac interviews. You're going to slip up and say something incriminating. I don't care if it's Vlad or whoever. All right. And basically, yeah, it's pretty spicy. All right. Wooski saying, hell yeah, ask that dude Odee. This is a back and forth with King Von, all right? Saying we going out here going wild, insane, crazy. Wooski hitting back. He said, yeah, ask Odee. Now, okay, this would basically mean that one of the people responsible for giving Oblock its name was originally actually from there, because apparently, all right, a lot of people been saying that you might be surprised at who actually hails from Oblock.
Wooski so hated in Oblock? Was it because he was from there and then he went to the other side and then started beefing with Oblock? Was that the main reason why?
He ain't picking up his title. He ain't got to claim it, but that's where he is from. When I was 8, 9 years old, me and Wooski, his brothers, Wooski, the other brother, Big Mike, he got some more brothers as well. He from the block. And Wooski is literally like, I guess a lot of niggas was like weirded out, like, we Wick City before Oblock, like, we Wick City, like, what the fuck? Why you wanna claim them niggas and don't claim where you really from? Yeah, a lot of niggas don't like Wooski, man, but Wooski was around before a lot of niggas that y'all with, like, he was around before Von. Just a lot of niggas that know.
Why was Wooski
So, to understand the hit that ended up taking Odee Perry's life and creating Oblock, we got to take a look back at the events that actually led up to the murder, which actually started with the killing of another infamous figure in the Chicago streets. That's, of course, Tuka.
2011. I experienced like my first friend get my best friend Odee. He in 2011.
Then my heart dropped. I ain't even asked about my other little cousin, BJ. I ain't even asked about him. I'm like, man, what at? And she got pausing. Like, every time I say, oh, her cries are paused. Like, she took a deep breath and her cries get worse. I mean, something happened, folks. Then she tell me, like, folks.
Then thinking about, like, damn, O wasn't even closest to the shooter. BJ was, fact. And O got hit with all the shots. And it was just like, damn, bro, it was... it was sad, man. And then T Roy was like there with him his last little moments, and T Roy and then T Roy said that, oh, was like, damn, they got me, bro. Like that was his last words.
Folks was like, Folks was a gangster. He was real savage. Like, he was real solid.
Odee was one of the first ones that was really out there with the guns. He was really shooting, really blowing.
January 12, 2011. A gang feud was building up to the point of no return. On that tragic day, a young man by the name of Shondell Gregory, known by his peers as Tuka, was shot and lost his life.
15-year-old Chanel Gregory was shot in the 500 block of East 63rd Street. The boy was on the street when a suspect got out of a vehicle and shot him multiple times. That gunman got back into the car and fled west on 63rd. Police say Gregory was on the scene. The incident is possibly gang-related. No one is in custody.
Tuka was at a bus stop on 63rd in St. Lawrence, in the Woodlawn neighborhood in Southside Chicago, with two other witnesses awaiting a bus. A dark-colored vehicle pulled up. A passenger who was wearing a half mask jumped out and shot Shondell Gregory, aka Tuka, several times about the body. According to law enforcement, Tuka was a known member of the Gangster Disciples, and his assassination was retaliation for the hit of a Black Disciple affiliate. That particular incident would become infamous as a pivotal moment in the gang feud in Chicago, and even more for the life of a Chicago native by the name of Odee Perry.
So all of that led up to what happened to Odee, right? The murder of Tuka happened not too long before. Okay, basically, that was at the start of 2011, all right? And then as the year went on, the ops was really looking to get back for what happened to Tuka. And unfortunately, they would eventually find Odee Perry. And that would also be covered in detail in this video from Dose of Mystery. So shout out to them. And let's look at basically how the series of events played out as far as Odee then losing his life after Tuka.
Odee Perry decided to go to the store and got on his bike and did just that. Him, along with his friend, entered the Swisher Sweet store, 11:34 p.m. Odee Perry exits the store, gets on his bicycle, and begins riding northbound on MLK Drive. Moments later, at 11:35 p.m., shots were heard ringing out throughout the area. His friend would look out of the store in the northbound direction which Odee Perry rode off towards. That's when he saw Odee fall from his bike onto the ground before getting up and attempting to escape, only to fall back down after around 10 more shots were let off. A key witness at the scene further described what happened thereafter. According to his account, he saw Odee Perry riding northbound as well on MLK Drive on his bicycle, but also noticed an African-American male standing near the bus stop along with an equally colored female and her child. As Odee Perry approached, the black male stepped out and shot him, causing Odee to fall back from his bicycle. At this point must be where Odee Perry would have tried to recollect himself and flee, but as stated by the eyewitness, the offender continued his pursuit by approaching Odee, shooting him again before fleeing eastbound on 64th Street. According to the other gang-affiliated members at the time, Black Reformed gangster Jay Hood, one of Odee Perry's friends named T. Roy, was present at the time, trying to keep him awake and alive after being shot.
So, obviously, this was a tragic loss for everybody that's from Parkway Gardens, aka Oblock, as it would be known in the aftermath. Now, there would actually be footage from the aftermath of the shooting that circulated, and it did show police swarming the scene immediately following the reports of shots fired. So this is basically footage from the scene, police pulling up as soon as it happened, and obviously, you know, thankfully they've blurred the body out there, but, you know, they can basically see that, you know, this is what went down. The police were straight on the scene. People were very distraught at the scene, and it's just really sad that, you know, to know that this is how it all went down. And this has been well documented, you know, the ambulance turning up, unfortunately, he lost his life. But crucially, Odee was actually killed on what's known as Tuka Day. And this is around the same time of the shooting that Oblock's rivals basically, like, around the same time of the shooting, okay, Oblock's biggest ops, all right, FBG Duck and them, all the Flyboy gang, everyone from 63rd, they all were filming a music video, and this actually becomes a key piece of evidence in the murder. So basically, okay, time goes on and we end up seeing this FBG Duck freestyle, and they're basically saying that this was filmed right before the murder of Odee Perry. This becomes basically a critical piece of evidence. It's even kind of this, you know, it's basically, this is a big part of the story, all right? People saying on this day Odee got killed, all right? That's basically understanding that Odee's killer is definitely somewhere in the video. The guy with the white socks hat was listed in the description. You'll see him at the beginning of the video. People saying that's not him. Some people saying it is him. People don't know. Right? Witnesses described it as being Boss Trell. They're saying FBG Duck was the driver. There's a lot of speculation. Okay, and they're saying basically Oblock used this as a list of targets. They're saying August the 11th, 2011. That was the day that Oblock was created. All right, and this is a re-upload. But basically, that was on Tuka Day. That was a day of respect and memorial for Tuka. And basically, okay, like real talk, they actually killed Odee on Tuka's birthday. That was Tuka Day, all right? So they basically was out looking for revenge. They filmed a music video and they went and they got up with him, all right? So it is very sad. Now, for years, the primary theory about who might have done the shooting was obviously the female teenage hitter, K.I., aka Jakira Barnes. A lot of people believed for a long time that she actually might have been the one to pull the trigger.
Odee, right?
Yeah.
And Tuka was killed before Odee, right?
Yeah.
Because they said that Odee was a revenge killing for Tuka. FBG Butterman going around saying that K.I. killed Odee because some killed Tuka.
Well, the story goes that she killed someone at 14 as revenge over Tuka. That's what they say.
Man, Odee got his black.
Right.
I don't even know nothing about that. I don't even know if it's true that K.I. even killed Odee. I don't even know if it's true if Odee killed Tuka. Some people just make up stories for content. It could have been somebody else. The streets been talking about who could have possibly did it. Everybody just ran with it because she the one started jumping on the internet about this. The whole time, the block knew that little girl ain't had nothing to do with him getting killed. She probably was there. But she ain't the one that pulled that trigger, bro.
So clearly he knows who did it, right? Because he's basically saying who didn't do it. Now, interestingly, FBG Butter would later admit that he intentionally put bodies on K.I. after her death to try and avoid a sentence for himself, all right? So let me be careful. So this is the clip, right? And people are basically saying FBG Butter is blaming the murder of Odee Perry on other people. And then in the comments it says, did this dude just confirm that he killed Odee? Now, I'm not sure if I believe Butter killed Odee, but let's hear what he said.
Look it up. Him and his brother told on me for slacking they homie. On Lil Brown. I just gave back 192 years to them niggas. I don't speak on that shit. Them niggas told on me, gang. I'm home right now because I blamed on my sister Tyler. Them niggas told on me. Them niggas told. On Lil Brown. Lil Durk, them told. Lil Durk home right now because them niggas told. On Duck. I'm free right now. I just got back 192 years, gang. On Lil Brown. 192
Well, why did they post you on all the social media pages and say you was
Because on Tuka, hold on. Look, my sister Jakira Barnes did. They gave me 192 years for killing the motherfucker, and I blamed it on my dead sister.
Anything that's hating on
I blamed it on my dead sister. They gave me 192 years. You hear me? And I blamed it on my dead sister. They can't dig her up. They can't charge her. They can't do nothing. I'm home. And they homie dead. They homie.
So he's saying that other people snitching, all right? It's in 192 years on Lil Brian, okay? But look, there's another suspect that was apparently identified as being at the scene, and that was someone by the name of FYB DJ, who was reportedly the man seen standing next to a stroller during this encounter.
Evidence is emerging a decade after the death of Odee Perry. Now, what I found interesting in this time-lapse video is you can see all eyes was on O when he was riding past on a bike. Now, over here at Dub Media, in no way, shape, form, or fashion that we doing detective work. Now, I ain't no internet sleuth, so I'm gonna give credit where credit due. There's some people out here so invested in the culture that they want to see the killer of Odee behind bars more than the CPD. Reason being, Ja Rule City, FYB DJ was spotted on these city cameras getting himself out of there. How do we know this FYB DJ? Easy, because he was spotted the next day in the same apparel in the FBG Duck video. Excellent move on his behalf. No, man, ain't nobody know if he the shooter.
He actually wearing a shirt with his name on it, FYB DJ. Now, I'm not trying to help anybody get away with any crimes, but if you're going to do a drill, small bit of advice, definitely don't do it in a shirt with your name on it.
Or none, but it's possible he could have dropped that location and put that back door in motion. So unfortunate, because now both of these guys are no longer with us. And all.
So rumors have circulated for years. Obviously, we saw this in a comment a minute ago. Okay, that FBG Duck might have actually been the person behind the wheel doing the getaway driving during this hit as well.
Look, I ain't gonna hold y'all. They saying FBG Duck was possibly the getaway driver. Well, what we know so far from the video circulating the internet, Odee was shot on the 10th, but held on like a life jacket until the next day. The next day, they shot the video, or even possibly the B-roll from the beginning of the video that night. How do we know this FYB DJ? Easy, because he was spotted the next day in the same apparel in the FBG Duck video. Excellent move on his behalf. No, man, ain't nobody know if he the shooter or nothing, but it's possible. Yeah, that was the upload from yesterday. If you ain't checked that out, run over there. But yeah, they said that's your boy whipping that thing, though. And the night vision off the camera got that shirt looking kind of orangish, like,
Damn, it does look a bit like Doc's shirt.
Would make sense if they pulled an all-nighter. But again, this is all speculation, merely a theory. All the parties involved are deceased, so please, no comments like I'm sending someone to jail. Although it is said to be a hidden message in the beginning of the video, rumor has it, if deciphered, you will find out the killer behind the murder of Odee Perry.
So they're saying the outfits, you know, the cars, the little clips in the video, it all kind of leads towards certain possibilities. People saying, did I miss out on something? Why am I seeing people saying FBG Duck was the driver on the Odee hit? People saying they put that together years ago. It was because he had on the orange shirt the night of the shooting, and the footage, it looks like that's who the driver was. It's been a rumor forever, all right? But interestingly, Wooski himself has seemingly hinted on multiple occasions that he might have been involved in the shooting too. Right, this is basically Wooski on Facebook, I believe, hinting to T-Roy that he killed Odee. All right, said you be talking faux shit. Lil dude on BD, Lil boy saw your little ass on 63rd, was about to shit on yourself. Then Wooski hit back. He said, on Tuka, you lie, you a bitch. How you let your mans get popped in the face? Haha, that's a long laugh. Oblock, EBT, BDK. And hey. Said, I ran up on Odee, made him shit himself. All right. So Marvell Williams, all right. Apparently that is actually Wooski's name. But anyway, he would also go into a very direct and public back and forth with King Von on Twitter about the murder too. And these guys were wiling out on Twitter back in the day, right? And I think we did look at this earlier. It says, smack a stupid bitch like T-Roy cousin. MFs ain't that slow. BD not slow. King Von says to Wooski, doesn't ring a bell, but keep your head up, boy, because dudes be out here going wild, insane, crazy. Wooski says, hell yeah, ask that dude Odee. And then this is some stuff we didn't see earlier because they went back and forth for a while. King Von said, lol, I ain't even going to disrespect your dead man's cuz because I know my rod looking and she real. I don't want her to spaz out on me. And he says, all right, Queen Dave, not King David, Queen Dave, keep your head up. Von said, make it easier for me and keep your head down. Wooski said, I'm not BD, so I ain't heads down, but y'all on that side, dead ass, y'all queen. Von said, nah, I quit though for real, Wooski. Just be smart out there. You should take this advice coming from a real young N-word, Oblock. Wooski said, we made Oblock. You forgot. Von said, do we gotta go there, little boy? And Wooski said, you a bitch. Everybody know that shorty MF's gonna pop your little head off. And at other times, Wooski actually would suggest that the hit might have been a coordinated effort between multiple different gangs working together. He said, who the F will run from TYMB, STL, EBT, will hit him up like we did Odee. He's saying we, so he is claiming responsibility for it. And Wooski also once posted a photo showing himself with several members from that FBG Duck music video wearing the exact same clothes that they had on the same day of the shooting. Okay, let me see if I can pull this one up. Where's this one? Is this what's going on with that? What's going on with that? Hang on. All right, I had to pull up the backup of this one, but this is basically a post that Wooski made. It said, on Tuka B Day, we made Odee Day. He said, we made Odee Day, right? And he basically showing everybody off that was there with the fits. You know what I mean? It's a little bit crazy that he would even want to post that. All right, but he did put that post across, and apparently they are wearing the outfits from the Odee hit. Now, interestingly, Big Mike would actually suggest that one of the actual participants in the hit is currently locked up in a case that they're not coming back from.
He was talking about that she supposedly killed bro. That's false information. I know it's false information. And who killed bro, to keep it 100, is locked up doing 100 years. He ain't never coming home. He locked up in a whole nother state on a whole nother case that he ain't never coming home from. You know what I'm saying?
So he trying to say whoever did it, he in another case, he ain't never coming home from it. And now a lot of people believe that Big Mike was actually referring to MOB Beans, who was prominently featured in the music video that day with FBG Duck and is also facing a lot of time in prison. His projected parole date is 2056, all right? He got decades left on him, and he's a GD, as you can see from the pitchforks here. Some people think he might have been responsible, okay? He in for a random ass of murder, a robbery gone wrong in Cranktown. People saying that they wouldn't put up with that many years. But another notable figure in Wooski's circle at the time was a hitter by the name of Lil B, who allegedly wore disguises when they went on hits. Right? Photo of EBT Lil B dressed like a girl to catch his ops off guard. Now, this is crazy. They're saying he was a maniac. Gotta be a fake man. Ain't no way we got Lil B wig pics 10 years after he died, all right? He's saying he looked fucked up for a female. I'd have been staring like, what the F is that? By the way, the pic on the left is from an FOIA request, so it's actually a real pic. There's levels to this drilling stuff. That is crazy. I've never seen anything like that. Now, allegedly, he used to use these costumes to carry out drills undetected, and this is how Lil B was moving, all right? Basically, it says, I think this one was called the student get up. They say that boy wore disguises on drills. Side note, everybody treated Young like a goofy. And they're basically saying this is him showing off one of his costumes.
Block right here. Oh, yeah, right here with it, man. Yeah, I know how this shit goes, man. Oh, shit, this Lil B. Fuck, he's coming from school or something? Where you going, bro?
So they're saying that might have been his little school outfit, all right? He's throwing him off the scent. It says he walked past him like that because he popped coal before. That must have happened after this vid. Ain't no way a dude who shot me just gonna walk past me like that. This is after he popped him over a girl. Cole was sneak dissing Lil B too, and FBG snitched on his cousin. They were about to start a war with STL. If you know, you know. They're saying he dressed up as a homeless guy to catch a body as well, walking with a limp they always talk about. Basically, some people saying Lil B was a bit slow, but it sounds like he was definitely getting active in those streets. Now, finally, the last suspect in the murder of Odee Perry is, of course, Boss Trell from St. Louis Street, St. Louis Ave. St. Louis, my bad. St. Lawrence Ave. All right, not St. Louis. I was thinking, as I said that, I was like, that didn't sound right. From St. Lawrence, man. And basically, he's long been tied to the Odee Perry hit by those deep in the Chicago drill scene. This is like a snippet of a police report or a crime scene report, basically saying, so Boss Trell really killed Odee? And this is basically the nickname BT, Jakira Barnes. They're saying it was Boss Trell and KI, both dead. They might have been responsible. It says new details and crime scene pics about the Odee murder. Odee told Boss Trell to blow if you're gonna, and CPD may have believed he was behind the murder of Tuka as well. CPD held a photo array, and Boss Trell was the main one identified by eyewitnesses during the murder, not KI. They're saying that was the image that was identified. People saying, wow, dudes are still going to deny it though and say it was scrap. At this point, everybody killed Odee, right? It makes perfect sense he did. After all, multiple witnesses identified him as the shooter. Shit, this the guy responsible for changing the names of multiple blocks. He started the name your block after your dead homie movement. Call him a renaissance man. That's crazy. Blow if you're going to shoot, get shot and dies. Crazy last words. Also looks like this was an interview done after BT and KI were already dead, and it doesn't list Odee as Tuka's killer, just says may have. So look, this is still going to be one of the most, like, deeply researched and speculated and debated murders in Chicago drill history. I don't think we're ever going to get a definitive answer. There's been so many different rumors and stories over the years, but I honestly feel like at this point it doesn't really matter, because the legacy of Oblock, everything that happened after Odee Perry passed away, is enshrined in history. Okay, ain't nothing going to change that. Doesn't matter whether it was KI, Boss Trell, who knows, all right? Wooski, it really doesn't matter at this point, because everything that happened afterwards was so sad. And I really just hope that Chicago can heal from what's going on, can move forward positively, and we can actually see these young men and women that are growing up in some of these areas find other ways to get away from the violence that's been plaguing these communities. I think it's really sad. I don't want anybody to think that this is just some funny thing going on. This is really serious stuff, and I don't wish this on anybody. So rest in peace to Odee Perry, rest in peace to Tuka. This is one of those mysteries that's just plagued the scene for a while. People are thinking this new little comment from Big Mike is indicating that Wooski might be responsible, but at the same time, as you've seen in this video, there are a whole bunch of different competing theories. Let me know what you guys think down below. I will be back tomorrow with some more videos. We went a little bit deeper on the Chicago stuff today. I might be back with a David update for you guys tomorrow, or I'll see if any big news happens in overnight. All right, but thanks so much for watching. I'm really enjoying putting up content for you guys on this channel. I do have some I got a plot twist for the main channel coming soon, but you're going to have to stay tuned for that. I won't reveal that until I'm ready, but it is going to be very interesting and maybe different to what you're expecting to see from me. I'm going to be back in the documentary lane soon. I'm really enjoying these casual videos, just like giving you guys breakdowns on stuff I'm interested in. I feel like this channel has been just such a good, like, refresher, palate cleanser for my main channel. I feel like I love doing documentaries, but I was a little bit burnt out on the documentaries, and I feel like last year I had a few good ones, I had a few misses, I had a few fumbles, but in 2026 I'm about to gear up. All right, my editors have had a nice long break. All right, me and my research writing team, we're about to go crazy. back to back with some crazy stuff. So stay tuned on the main channel, Trap Law Ross. Don't sleep on that. Make sure you follow me on Instagram, all of that good stuff. And I'm just so grateful that we got this channel. All right. I see people hating, talking about, oh, this is just all Reddit, reading Reddit comments and speculate. Yeah, this is me having fun. The same shit that I'll be looking at and commenting on and reading on Reddit on a day-to-day basis. I'm just recording myself talking about it with you guys, okay? Yes, sometimes it's cap. We be seeing stuff on Reddit, it turns out to be cap. But this channel, this isn't the documentary channel, this isn't the research channel, this is us basically reading Reddit comments together and looking into things we find interesting together. And I'm so grateful that I've got this platform, I've got this channel. I'm very, very excited for the future, okay? 2026 is going to be a special year for me, for you, for everybody, all around the world. Thank you so much, and I'll catch you in the next video, guys. I'm out here. Peace.